The case you write the most about in your book, Just Mercy, is the story of a man named Walter McMillian in Monroeville, Alabama.
Walter McMillian was an African-American man living in Monroeville, and there was a terrible crime in the mid-'80s, late '80s, of a young white woman murdered in a downtown cleaner. And the police couldn't solve the crime, and the whole community was outraged and upset. The gun sales had tripled. They were talking about impeaching the sheriff or the prosecutor if they couldn't make an arrest. And so we believe they decided to arrest Mr. McMillian, not because they really believed he committed the crime, but because he was having an interracial affair with a young white woman. And they arrested him. They actually put him on death row.
And what year was this again?
This was 1987 when he was arrested. He was placed on death row before trial. It's the only case I've ever worked on where the client spent 15 months on death row pre-trial. So the papers would say, death row defendant Walter McMillian will be arraigned tomorrow, death row defendant. And they were able to convict him and sentence to death. The amazing thing was that at the time of the crime, he was actually raising money for his sister's church. And there were about 30 people of color with him, 11 miles from the crime scene. So they knew he was innocent. And when he was arrested, they went to the sheriff and said, "You've got the wrong man." They were ignored. The trial lasted a day and a half. He was convicted of capital murder. He was actually sentenced to life without parole by the jury. And the trial judge, whose name was Robert E. Lee Key, overrode the jury's verdict and imposed the death penalty. And he spent the next 6 years on death row. When I started working on the case, they had convicted him based on the testimony of one man. And I found out that this man had been coerced to testify falsely. He just admitted to me that it was all a lie. And then he told me that he had been recorded trying to persuade them that he shouldn't do this. And so we started looking, and we found tapes where the police had interrogated this man while they were coercing him to testify falsely, and for some bizarre reason they tape recorded those sessions. So the witness was actually on the tape saying, quote, "You want me to frame an innocent man for murder, and I don't feel right about that." And the police officer was saying, "Well, you better give us what we want, or we're going to put you on death row." And he made lots of statements to lots of people that he was lying, that this was all a frame-up. They got some other people to testify falsely. And they then suppressed all of that evidence. Obviously, they didn't give it to the lawyers or give it to the jury. And so we found the evidence, went to court, and there's a case called Brady versus Maryland, which holds that the state is obligated to turn over anything that is favorable to the defendant. And when they fail to turn that over, your conviction is unreliable and you're entitled to a new trial. And that was the basis upon which we won relief.